bees, whose eyes be? Cause God made me whose eyes be. Those eyes nothing but whose eyes be. Y'all, I have suffered persecution and injustice. It's cost my color. I don't pray, cause God made me and no other. Cause I get so hungry and I get thirsty. Ugh, I have to work sometimes from dusk to dawn just to get the crumb that falls from that table. But that's okay, cause I know my God is more than able. My plight is so hard sometimes, y'all. But stay, I press forward to the great I am and his mark flat. So don't judge me because nor my color. You just know that I am who I am because God made me. Oh, I am.
All right, class, settle down. Before we get started, I'd like for you all to stand with me and sing the first verse of our anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty.
James Weldon Johnson could never have known that this song would become so well known and famous.
How could he have known? When the song was first published, James Weldon Johnson and his brother didn't know that it would be famous, but the people knew. Lift Every Voice and Sing became the official song of the NAACP. And just imagine their song being known as the Black National Anthem. Man, it was his experience with music that influenced his poetry. Rhythm and rhyme, they are great partners.
Rhythm and rhyme have played a central role in the history of the African Americans' incredible ability to create, adapt, and use rhythm and rhyme to express feelings has propelled some to superstar status. Who can rival Whitney Houston's presentation of the national anthem, or Michael Jackson's ability to draw a crowd? We have used all kinds of music and verse to tell our story: spirituals, rhythm and blues, jazz, rap, and hip-hop. Even during slavery, we used our songs to send messages back and forth to each other.
Yes, I am. They call me Moses to the people. I made 19 journeys along the route, which we now call the Underground Railroad. I helped over 300 slaves escape to their freedom. Among these passengers were my very own parents. We used songs to communicate back and forth with slaves on other plantations. Sometimes songs would warn us of impending danger. Steal away, steal away, steal away, steal away home, steal away, steal away. I ain't got long to stay here. I ain't got long to stay here. And that was the song we used to help the slaves that were ready to board come to the north with me to their freedom. Steal away, steal away, steal away, steal away home, steal away, steal away. I ain't got long to stay here.
Ah, yes, the ability to use song as a means of communication has truly served the African American well. But then, so has our ability in movement. Dance tells us so much about a people and their culture. Many cultures have their dances of celebration, their war dances, and their dances of victory. They also have movements that express sadness and sorrow. The dance can really express thought and emotion, displayed by Judith Amison of the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater.
Alvin Ailey was a dancer and was considered to be quite good. He studied under Martha Graham, you know. In time, he became interested in more than performing movement. He became interested in choreography. In 1958, it was time for him to spread his wings. He knew he was ready, and he started his own dance company called the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. You know, we were the first predominantly Black dance troupe to perform at the Metropolitan Opera House in New York. In his choreography, he combined modern dance, ballet, and of course, African tribal dance. He didn't only choreograph for his own company, but also for the Jeffrey Ballet, the American Ballet, and the Opera Ballet. Isn't it amazing how you can combine rhythm, movement, and color to create a story?
African Americans tell their story in rhythmic movement, in rhythmic song, and in rhythmic verse that can stir the soul. When Nobel winner Toni Morrison writes, you know her characters intimately, so you understand their dilemma. But what can compare to the Harlem Renaissance? Black writers who began to draw large white audience and support. Writers like Claude McKay, Jean Toomer, Countee Cullen, and Langston Hughes.
What happens to a dream? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or does it fester like a store and then run? Does it stink like a rotten meat? Or does it crust the sugar over like a syrup sweet? What happens to a dream deferred? Does it sag like a heavy load? Or does it explode?
Just as we thank writers like Langston Hughes for calling the world's attention to the plight of African Americans, we thank those that continue to stress the themes of courage, perseverance, and self-acceptance. We thank writers like Maya Angelou.
It's important to know who you are and where you're going. I've received many awards and honorary degrees, but I must tell you, I was so delighted to deliver my poem on the pulse of morning at President Clinton's inauguration. We've come a long way from rural Arkansas. You see, I've been a cook, a waitress, and a nightclub performer. But I've also been a writer, an editor, a university lecturer, and I delivered a poem at a president's inauguration. You just have to know who you are and where you're going. You may write me down in history with your bitterness and lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of the tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my hardiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history, shame I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise. Bringing forth gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Knowing who you were and where you were going was once a major hurdle for African Americans. First, they had to overcome the shackles of slavery. Thanks to the black voices of people like Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth, and white voices like William Floyd Garrison and Wendell Phillips, the struggle was brought to the forefront of America's social and political agendas and had to be settled. Since that time, there have been many voices of advice and direction. Two of the most famous opposing views for African American progress in this country were expressed by Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois.
It seems to me
Said Booker T.
the Negro may be down, but through his own efforts, he can raise himself up.
I don't agree.
Said W.E.B.
It is racism that keeps the Negro down, not himself.
It seems to me
Said Booker T.
the Negro needs to forget about the past, learn a trade, and move up in the world.
I don't agree.
Said W.E.B.
When the Negro was free from slavery, whose responsibility to make sure he was compensated for the years of labor that he's performed? By making sure that he was without training, without skills, without land, and without any economical organization.
It seems to me
Said Booker T.
that the problem for the Negro in America is his lack of a vocation.
I don't agree.
Said W.E.B.
The problem for the Negro in America is the color line.
It seems to me
Said Booker T.
I don't agree.
Said W.E.B. African Americans. African Americans have made long strides in the United States since slavery. We are involved in all aspects of life in this country, from sports to entertainment to medicine to business to government. We are proud of the strides of accomplishments Africans have made in America and in other parts of the world, especially in the homeland, and even more special, South Africa, or what Africans know as Azania.
Amante. 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 Because of my political views and my work with the ANC, I was in prison in 1964. During my 26 years imprisonment, the struggle for freedom was continued by the ANC and the people of South Africa. When I was released from prison in February of 1990, I was pleased to see that the struggle for freedom was still very much alive in the hearts and minds of black South Africans. 26 years is a lot of time to spend in prison. Now it is time to reap the benefits of the high price we have paid.
Tonight is a special honor for me because, let's face it, my presence on this stage is pretty unlikely. My father was born, excuse me, my father was born in a small village in Kenya. Although my parents shared in a probable love, they also shared an abiding faith in the possibilities of this nation. I stand here knowing that my story is only part of a small but a larger story. And I owe a debt to other people that came before me. And in no other country on earth is my story even possible. But there's another ingredient to the American saga, and that is we all believe that we are connected to one another. I am my brother's keeper, and I am my sister's keeper. That is the fundamental belief that keeps this country strong. Now, do we participate in a policy of cynicism, or do we participate in the policy of hope? The hope of slaves sitting around a fire, singing songs of freedom. The hope of immigrants setting off for foreign shores. Or the hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too. I believe this country will rise up and reclaim its promise. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
Let's stand and let's give honor to God for what's